Everyone is doing it for the kids. Really, it's for the children.
He who controls the spice controls the universe.
Hello. I'm the Reina Creole, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis. And welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to be reviewing episode 2 of WandaVision, which is an MCU series debuting on Disney Plus this past weekend. So I've already reviewed episode 1. This right now is for episode 2. Now, before I get started on this review, please do make sure to subscribe. In addition to subscribing, please hit that notification bell so you find out when I go live, when I put up new videos, just to keep up to date on all the spicy goodness. And even if you are subscribed, check to make sure that you are still subscribed, because YouTube has been unsubscribing people. It kind of sucks if you think you're subscribed and turns out you're not. You miss all the spicy goodness I got going on my channel here. Also, this review will contain spoilers. So if you do not like spoilers, I suggest tapping out of this review right now. Go watch WandaVision episode 2 and come back. Because if you continue watching this video and you're spoiled, hey, it's on you. So in this episode of WandaVision, Wanda and Vision try to fit in more in the community by performing in the community talent show. Now, when this episode first starts, we'll go from the title credits. It's obvious we've skipped a decade. The previous decade was more Dick Van Dyke, I Love Lucy. You're talking like 1950s to the early 60s with a blatant homage to Bewitched. You have the Scarlet Witch flying like Samantha. You've got Vision next to her, and it looks like frame for frame, pretty much like the opening for Bewitched. Darren walks, but in this one, Vision floats through, getting out of bed, getting dressed for work, getting sent out to work. And then, of course, you see the Scarlet Witch around the neighborhood in the cartoon, just like Samantha. And then they meet back up at home on the couch. WandaVision. So the episode opens where Wanda and Vision are sleeping in separate beds. Harkens back to I Love Lucy. And there's this loud noise that obviously startles Wanda. Vision goes to investigate. He doesn't see anything. He just sees the rose bushes that are out there. They hear the noise again, but Wanda kind of distracts them, and they kind of leave it at that. So next morning you see them working on the magic trick, and they bring out, the vanishing cabinet and practice, the act that they're going to do. And again, they're still talking about how to fit in, into the community. Wanda doesn't want to go anywhere. She wants to make where they are work for them. And of course, Vision agrees to it. And while Vision is concerned about them concealing their powers, Wanda's like, hey, people doing magic, fake it. Their magic's actually real. So the comedic timing between Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen is like on point. I mean, honestly, it's so good. It totally reminds me of the Bewitched episodes from the 60s. So Wanda and Agnes meet up. Of course, we have not seen Agnes's husband, Ralph, yet. And they head off to a meeting of the Stepford wives over at a chick named Dottie's house. Now, apparently, Dottie is, I guess, the chairperson of the little community committee or whatever, the community fundraising committee for the elementary school. So they're going over to her house. So apparently all roads lead through Dottie with respect to social connections. So they've got to be on their best behavior, when they're there. So when they get to this meeting at Dottie's house, you can tell Dottie is the classic queen bee, alpha female type. Nothing quite gets past her, and Wanda tries to mimic everything that Dottie does, and it's pretty obvious Wanda seems out of place. She meets another lady who also seems out of place, and her name is Geraldine. But due to casting news, we know that Geraldine is actually Monica Rambeau. Yes. So she and Wanda hit it off immediately, and Dottie's kind of irritated by how much they're talking. Vision heads off to a meeting at the public library, I guess the neighborhood watch meeting, like all the guys getting together to discuss about patrolling the neighborhood. And of course, Vision wants to talk about the noise and all that he heard last night, but he doesn't quite get to that. So they talk about, BS, who did what, who did this, gossip around the neighborhood. And Vision, of course, him being the android that he is, says he has a piece of classified intelligence to share with everyone, that Norm's a communist. And everyone kind of laughs at that. Yeah, Vision's got a sense of humor. We like that. One of the guys gives Vision a piece of gum. And, when they bring it up that he can't exactly eat food, at least eat between meals, he's like, oh, no, it's just for mastication. He didn't say chewing. He said mastication. So he chews a piece of big red gum. Somebody smacks him on the back and he winds up swallowing the gum. You see where that's going. But I thought it was cool how they showed the gum gumming up his insides as a cartoon. So you see the gum getting stuck in the gears and causing problems. So he's not going to be acting right pretty soon. So later on at the talent show, Vision is obviously late. Wanda's freaking out. Of course, Geraldine's freaking out because she's running the whole show there in the background. And when Vision does show up, he seems a lot like the town drunk. So apparently, gum getting in his system makes him act really, really drunk. And Paul Bettany plays that off so well. We're used to Vision speaking very prim and proper and methodical, and this dude is just a freaking lush. It's funny to see. It's hilarious to see. Vision winds up slipping up and starts showing his powers, like levitating and picking up big objects and letting objects pass through him. But Wanda's got his back, so she's using her powers, not wrinkling her nose like Samantha though, but kind of in her fingers. So with Vision levitating into the air, she's got him like hooked on a crane or something to crank it, bringing it that way. The piano that he lifted, she pretty much changed it so it looked like a cardboard cutout of the piano. And when it comes to the vanishing cabinet part, well, Vision forgot to put Wanda in the cabinet. So what you gonna do? Of course, Wanda fixes it, and what's in the cabinet box? Who comes out? Geraldine, aka Monica Rambeau, who doesn't know how she got there, because one time she was backstage, next thing you know, she was in that cabinet. Interesting. Well, Vision doesn't know, and Wanda is not going to reveal what happened. So the show is a smash hit. Everyone loves it. Dottie's pleased. She's relaxed. All is good. Wanda and Vision go home. They're remarking on how wonderful things went. They feel like they're finally starting to fit in, and they repeat that, yes, it's for the children. It's for the children. And they kind of pause, and Wanda stands up, and her belly starts to get big, and she's just like, is this really happening? And Vision's like, yeah, this is really happening. Apparently androids can get you pregnant. I didn't know that, but apparently it does in this universe. But they're interrupted by hearing that loud noise that they heard in the beginning of the episode. They couldn't figure out what the heck that was. Well, Vision's pissed. Vision goes outside, and the neighborhood looks a little different. The neighborhood doesn't look like the 1960s black and white Bewitched show. It looks like modern day times, kind of sepia toned. It's obviously very different. And you can tell that we are not in the television world anymore. And you hear this noise, and it sounds like a manhole cover. The manhole cover slides over, and this figure comes out of the manhole in like a beekeeper outfit, and there's bees circulating all around him. And Wanda's looking at this like, what the heck is this? And the guy's face turns around, looks her dead in the face. And she just looks and she's just like, no. And then you see sounds like rewinding the tape and things start to go backwards. And next thing you know, boom, they're back in the house. Back to Wanda asking Vision, is this really happening? And he's like, yes, it's happening. So that brings us to the B plot of what's really going on behind the scenes in this episode of WandaVision. All right, so after Vision goes to work, Wanda's sprucing up the house, like a good 1960s housewife, and she hears the same noise that she heard that night. And she doesn't look surprised. She looks very scared. She goes outside, goes to her beautiful rose bushes, and in that sea of black and white, you see a red, small helicopter with yellow markings. And she picks it up, turns it around, and those same markings that were on the notebook and the monitor in episode 1, where it had like a circle and like a little sword in it, those same markings are on the helicopter. And remember, at the end of episode 1, you also heard helicopter sounds. So what's the deal with that? And then Wanda looks up at the window and then back at the helicopter. So is it that she made the helicopter crash in the middle of the night and pretended she didn't know anything about it? Who knows? Is somebody trying to send her a message? Who knows? So let's get back to Dottie, because it took me about 3 watchings of this show to kind of figure out what the deal was with Dottie. Now, you notice when you watch this episode, Dottie is keenly aware of everything that's going on during that committee Stepford Wives meeting. She knows where everyone's sitting. She's aware of Wanda talking too much. She's aware of Wanda and Geraldine, aka Monica Rambeau, talking too much. She's keenly aware of everything that's going on. So in another scene, Wanda's helping clean up with the dishes and everything from the meeting, and she tells Dottie, I feel like we got off on the wrong foot. And Dottie says, well, I've heard about you and your husband. And Wanda's like, pretty much whatever you heard, my husband and I don't mean you any harm. And Dottie says, I don't believe you. That's not a response that you would expect to hear. Not even that type of conversation you would expect, to go on. But before Wanda can say anything else, the little radio that's on the table, you hear the crackling static, and it comes on, and you hear a voice saying, Wanda, who's doing this to you? And Wanda's just looking at the voice like this, and Dottie is obviously freaked out. And she's like, what is that? Who's that voice? And the voice keeps repeating, Wanda, who's doing this to you? And the frequency gets cranked up to the point where Dottie's freaked out that she squeezes the glass and it breaks in her hand and shatters. And when she opens her hand back up, it's bright red blood against, her black and white hand. Like the red that we saw in the helicopter earlier, right? Okay. So all of a sudden, her demeanor changes. very matter-of-factly. Of course, Wanda goes and gets like a rag to like press against her hand, and Dottie's pretty much like, pop quiz. How does a housewife get blood out of white linen? She does it herself. And then Dottie just walks off. Maybe Wanda is okay according to her. I don't know, but still, again, I think with Dottie, there's some kind of security issue when it comes to her. That's just a feeling I get. I could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see. So next we come to another commercial. This time, very debonair. And there's two things, makes a man look great. The chick on his arm and Strucker watch. Now, the name Strucker I didn't pick up on first. What I did pick up on was when they zoomed in on the watch face and you saw Hydra spelled out and you saw the Hydra insignia. So yeah, that tells me Hydra's involved in some kind of way. And it's like, oh, okay, here we go. So again, pay attention to these commercials because they are dropping clues here and I'm loving it. So back to where Wanda saw the beekeeper, and she adamantly was like, no, basically you are not messing with my happy ending right now. And she makes reality wind up and back up to the point where her and Vision are back in the house. And she asks him, is this for real? Is this really happening? Vision starts to show color. So you start to see red in his face. And then Wanda's gradually turning from black and white to color. And then the setting, the house that they're in, starts to turn, into color. So I don't know if that signals a shift into the 70s type of sitcoms that we'll see in the next episode. I don't know, but it's an obvious shift, just as much as in the world of classic TV, that shift from black and white to Technicolor. That was a big deal. So now we're in Technicolor. And at the end of the episode, she and Vision kiss, and that's the end of WandaVision. You see that like hexagonal framing of them. The show fades out. But again, you hear that crackly voice of the radio pleading, Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda? So we don't know if someone's doing something to her and she's protecting her psyche by playing out these memories with these classic TV shows and fighting back very vehemently when that perfect setting she has is threatened. So possibly the helicopter threatened it and the beekeeper dude, threatened it. So whatever is intruding on that, she obviously does not want it around. So again, is Wanda controlling what's going on, or is she fighting against what's going on? I'll have to tune in next week to find out. But I'm intrigued. Overall, this was another good episode. I haven't seen a drop in quality. Granted, it is just 2 episodes. I haven't seen a major drop in quality between episode 1 and episode 2, like I've seen with The Mandalorian's past second season. I'm really liking the Easter eggs. I know I've probably missed several because I haven't read the comics, but the Easter eggs that I have seen, I really like, especially with respect to Hydra. That was very easy to pick out if you've watched any of the Avengers films. Again, if you're an action person, you're probably not interested in hanging around, but there's so many clues in here that if you're into mysteries, this is great. This is great. This is great stuff. They're feeding us a little bit at a time every week. And it's interesting that when the new episode comes out, it reveals stuff from the previous episode. So I'm going to go out here on a limb and guess that when episode 3 comes out, it's going to show stuff that's going to make you want to go back and watch episodes 1 and 2 again. And I think that's very smart writing, to make viewers want to go back, not need to go back, but want to go back and rewatch those episodes to find out, what it is that was hidden in plain sight from them. Okay. So that's my spicy take about this episode. What's your take on this? Is episode 2, does that have you hooked even more than episode 1? Have you watched episodes 1 and 2 and decided, it's enough, I'm going to tap out of the series? And if you are a reader of the comics, how is the show appealing or not appealing to you? I'd like to hear about that. Definitely interested. So with that said, that's going to wrap up this review. Again, please make sure to like this video, share this video, and of course, double check to make sure you're subscribed to my channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And remember, never underestimate the power of pop culture. Stay plugged in. Bye.